You're listening to the Intuitive Souls podcast. I am your host, Sarah Caruso, and this podcast is designed to educate, inspire, and enlighten. Let's wake up together. Hey guys, welcome to the Intuitive Souls podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. I'm super excited that the universe led you here. If you are an OG and you've been listening and you've been, reaching out to me, messaging me, liking anything that I post, any of my content, I love you. I am so appreciative of each and every download, of each and every review. You guys make this so easy for me and so enjoyable. So for that, I thank you guys. And before we dive into this week's episode, I just want to, state that if this podcast is, helping you, if it's, bringing value to you, if it's, helping you in whatever way possible, if you can go ahead and head on over to iTunes and leave a review, I would really appreciate it, because those reviews allow me to get this podcast to the ears that need to hear it. So again, thank you guys. I know life is super busy and, sometimes we forget. So if you do take the time out of your busy schedule to write a review, I really do appreciate it. So in this week's episode, I invited on Ashley the Priestess. Her handle on Instagram and on TikTok is the Pythian Priestess. And when I tell you this girl is a wealth of knowledge, she is a wealth of knowledge, and you will see in the conversation we have. We talked about the tarot, and she dropped some knowledge bombs, guys. So be sure to listen. She is such a sweetheart. She is available for readings if you guys want to check her out. I'm going to have all of her information in the show notes. Be sure to check her out. Be sure to follow her. I follow her, and I have a great relationship with Tarot, and she gives such great advice when it comes to developing your connection to the Tarot that, sometimes I'm like, that's a really good idea. So Ashley, thank you so much for coming on. She gives a lot of, advice and books and stuff like that, which are all in the show notes if you're interested in checking them out. So be sure to do that if, you are really interested in tarot or whatever the case may be. So let's go on to the show, and I will see you guys next week. You guys, today I have an amazing soul. I have Ashley the Priestess with me today. I actually came across her TikTok a while back, and I've been following her, and this girl is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to tarot, and I am so happy that she's on. So Ashley, thank you so much for being on. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey in basically all spirituality and tarot?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, Erica. So my journey started 14 years ago. I was a freshman in a high school, and I went to a Renaissance fair with my best friend, and I saw these card readings. I was like, what is this? This seems really cool. And I had a reading done, and it was overwhelming the first time. I was like, there's so many symbols. There's so many cards being thrown at me. What is this? How can I do it for myself so I don't have to pay $45 every time? And that's what tarot really kickstarted for me, my spiritual journey. I grew up Catholic, didn't really have a lot of response with that God or that pantheon. And so I started looking elsewhere. And, at the bottom of it, I feel like tarot is my foundation because it's really a reflection of me more than anything else.
So when you got this reading, when you went to this Renaissance fair, how was the reading? Was it what did you feel? What cards came up, if you remember?
Oh, yes. So it was just a general overlife reading, which is why I think it stuck with me so much, because it was very, very apropos to exactly what was going on in my life. In particular, there was a sign of a page of wands reversed. And that was the man, who was a boy at the time, the boy I was seeing, who would eventually end up cursing me for 5 years. And if I had listened to that reading, I would have been like, oh, this is bad news, reverse card. You should really listen to this. But, you know, I was a baby. I didn't understand. A lot of it talked about, I grew up in Florida in a very small town. And it was like, you're going to do big things with your life. You're going to move into your power. And of course, I didn't really understand what that was. But 14 years later, here I am living in Los Angeles. I have a pretty big internet following for witches and occultists and mystics, which is amazing. And to me, the stuff that really stood out in that reading was definitely the Page of Wands reversed. The Ace of Cups came up. And that was like my power and my influence. And then like at the bottom of it, the Devil came up, which is where I was being chained to beliefs and ideologies and traditions that never suited me. And I didn't understand at the time that that card isn't what a lot of people, it's not as scary as people think it is.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is, I don't like it in relationship readings.
Ooh.
Yeah. But right. I think, and this is like a thing with tarot, everyone, first off, like there's this whole taboo around the death card. And it's like, I hope you get the death card. That's a transformational card. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And then like, there are other cards that do symbolize lower things, but all in all, I truly believe that tarot is here to help us and guide us. You know, there's no evil in it. You know what I mean?
No, there's not. And I remember talking to my mom about this, and I was so excited. You know, I was 14. I was like, I did this really cool thing. It told me the future. She's like, no, those are Satan's cards. And like,
oh, gosh.
They're not. Like, if anything, this is how I understand tarot. I've done a lot of research into it. I've gone to classes, and the 78 cards represent the human experience. They can be broken down into different patterns, different symbolism that all represents your experience and everything you're going to understand and feel in your human life. And guess what? Change and transformation is always a part of your human life. That is our purpose, is to grow and to transform.
Exactly. And so you grew up Catholic. So very, wow, that must have been rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, for me, like, see, everyone's journey into spiritualism and finding their truth and everything is so different, because my father is actually a very conservative man, and he gifted me my first tarot deck when I was 16 years old for Christmas.
Wow.
Right. And it's very strange because we never spoke about it, but like getting that from your conservative father was really kind of like a whoa moment for me, but it's so different than like how you came about it. So I really feel like tarot comes to you when you're ready for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And for me, in my understanding, for a lot of people, is that it's an awakening moment. Like realizing that you have the power to read and manipulate the energies in your life, and you are not a victim in your life, nor are you just a passenger. You have the power.
Beautifully said. Like truly beautifully said. So what were some of the best, when you really dived into your tarot practice and learning about it and everything, what were some of the best tools or practices that helped you expand your relationship with the tarot?
Patience.
I think I needed to hear that right now. Yeah, patience. That's a big one. Never even thought of that. Gotta tell you.
78 cards, a lot to learn. It's a lot to memorize. It's a lot to understand. And I think really what really helped me, and I talk about it a lot on TikTok, is understanding the symbolism behind each deck. So a quick overview for people who are not as familiar. So you have 4 suits. You have the wands, swords, pentacles, and cups. Cups represent emotion. Swords represent logic and intellect. wands represent will or power, and then coins or pentacles represent the earth and your material being. Once I had that knowledge, it became so much easier to read.
Mm. Yeah. See, I think my biggest problem was like tarot came into my life, and my biggest problem when I first got my first tarot deck was I read a book about it, and it got really frustrating because I felt like when you read a book, you're not connecting with the tarot. You know what I mean? And I remember getting so frustrated with it because it was like, oh, what does this was? And I felt like when you go into the book definition of what the cards mean, yes, it's good to have a knowledge about it, but I think that connecting on a more symbolic level, like you say, or just intuitive level, God, your relationship with the tarot is going to expand massively.
It really does. And I use a book called the Tarot Companion.
Okay.
I bought it off, honestly, I bought it at Spencer's when I was really young.
Wow. The Tarot Companion. Okay.
It's got a beautiful like gold cover, and my first deck was the Rider-Waite deck. And it has like these beautiful pictures that I could like flip through. And I think that's also what helped me is like when you're reading about it, make sure you're looking at your card. Feel the energy that comes with the card. Like you said, it's about intuition. It's not, you cannot just use your intellect and your logic when you are doing tarot readings. You absolutely have to connect in with the softening, the feminine divine, and your intuition. Otherwise, you're never going to get truly accurate readings because your mind is in the way.
Right. Absolutely. And really what has helped me was like, I don't know if you're guilty of this too, but when I was first learning about tarot and doing spreads for people, I had like my tarot encyclopedia right next to me. And with every card and where every placement was, I would have to go and do the research on the card. And now when I see people do that, it like drives me mad.
Yeah,
and,
it's hard. I would professionally ever. When I was learning, I would do it with my friends. Is like, oh, this is like a fun little thing that we're doing. But like as you get, and if you start doing it professionally, you should absolutely not do that.
Yeah, I don't like it. It is definitely a pet peeve for me. Even with like oracle readings too, it's like just use your intuition. You know what I mean? Especially with oracle readings because they're much easier to read. You know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So the Tarot Companion, okay, I'm going to put that in the show notes as well. Is there any, besides patience, what were some of the practices that you did that really helped you in your tarot journey?
Well, the one thing that I would do, I would always create a space of protection, whether that's casting a circle, whether that's putting crystals around, just to make sure that I am in a safe place. And then I would invite in my guides, my ancestors, my angels, your gods, if you have them, and then ask them to guide you. I think by doing that, it allowed me to, one, really connect to my intuitive side, and two, it also puts you at a place of ease where you're no longer focused on the world around you or like the situation at hand. It is just you and the cards and your spirituality.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a really great tip for people starting off or maybe coming from Catholicism or being said that tarot and all forms of divination is the devil's work, because having that sense of protection really will get you out of that scarcity mindset. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And your ancestors and your angels, they will come if you call. All you have to do is ask.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's so funny you say that because I did a TikTok where it's like, where I was talking about spirit guides and where I was like, all you have to do is ask and they'll come. And oh my God, the hate that I got, oh my gosh. I had to delete a lot of comments because they were so hateful, saying that I was like a devil worshiper and the only person that you should be speaking to is God. And I'm like, oh my God. If God only knew that this was happening, because our angels and our spirit guides and our ancestors are all facets of God. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And we are facets of God. So it's really I just couldn't believe that people just are that hateful. You know what I mean?
And it all comes from a place of fear. It really
Yeah.
does. I have to remind myself consistently that the audience on TikTok is very young. My demographics range between 11 and 16.
Wow.
Very young girl.
Very young. That's very young. See, my demographic is more like 20 to 40.
Oh, well, that's not cool. They shouldn't be acting like that.
Right. But they're all like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, these are women that are like you go and check their profile and they don't have any followers or anything. They're just there to like be mean in comments. And it's like, because they are held to a certain religious belief system. And it's like, I don't know. Aren't we supposed to do unto others as we want done to ourselves? Like,
I'm a big proponent of golden rule, 100%,
you
all
know
day,
what I
every day.
mean? Like, geez, like, yeah, TikTok
good
has really been an experience for me, to say the least.
Yeah, delete those comments.
Exactly.
Smudge phone, release that negativity.
Yes, smudge the phone. I know, I've had to do it a couple of times because I love TikTok because it's just such an amazing platform, but it really does come with like haters, you know?
Yeah, I got a lot of haters. That's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm still going to do me. Going to do me. So this is the thing with tarot, guys, once you get into it, I don't think you ever get out, and your collection of tarot cards just keeps growing. So as of right now, what's your favorite deck?
Okay, so I have a very, very special deck. I have one of the original Dali Tarot sets from the Surrealist painter, and I paid very handsomely for it. And that was the last deck that I actually bought. It's like one of those larger decks, so it's like big, literally a big handful. But for me, every time I look at that deck, like, I have such a connection to it. The abstraction is really illuminating to me because I see the world as an artist in abstract. But honestly, I can't buy any more decks because I feel like I'm cheating on Dali.
Really? Oh my God, that sounds amazing. That really does sound amazing. My deck right now is the Light Seers Tarot.
Oh, pretty. I've seen those online.
Yeah, it came out. Well, first I don't know what happened because it was supposed to come out like last year, but it was going to be more expensive. It was going to probably be like a $75 deck because she was doing it all on her own. But then all of a sudden it was on Amazon for like, I think $22. Mm-hmm. So I picked it up, but what a beautiful deck. I mean, really, truly, just the illustrations are so present, just amazing. It really is amazing. And I've done readings with it, and even people have complimented it on it. But I think we need to talk about the Rider-Waite deck.
Oh, yes. The traditional.
Right. Yeah. So when you are dealing with tarot, when you're getting your first deck, you could get whatever deck you want, but I always say just go with Rider-Waite because I think it's the most universal. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't mind me going into a little bit of history here.
Go for it.
So tarot actually was long before the Rider-Waite deck even existed. It was originally done through playing cards, which if you look at a deck of cards now and you look at a tarot deck, you will see many similarities, including the four symbology that we saw with the spades, hearts, etc. And we see that parallelism. What Rider and Waite did is they took the playing set and then reformatted it and with their occult knowledge to understand the human experience. And what a lot of people don't know is that those artistic drawings were actually done by Rider's wife, who was a woman of color.
Wow.
And I don't have her name with me right now, but she created that. And what she did is she put so much intention and so much focus on like the way, like angels, for example. Angels are a big sign in the Rider-Waite deck. You are literally having a spiritual guidance check, like, hey, listen, There are boats, birds. Like, this woman knew so much symbolism that's why I always recommend the beginner deck for the Rider-Waite, because that symbolism is so strong and it's easy to read. And all tarot decks are valid. You can use whatever you want, but when starting out, you must understand that symbology to get the full effect of what the cards are telling you.
Right. Yeah. When I first really started looking into the symbolism, because you're going to notice if you really study the cards, and I really studied the cards, there are certain cards that have salamanders. There are cards that have white flowers, and then there's cards that have angels on it. And it's really it really is. When you say patience, oh my God, you are so right, because there's so much symbology within every single card that you need to learn.
Yeah. And I, personally, I also was very frustrated in the beginning. Like, I'm a smart person. Why am I having so much difficulty with this? And that's because in our modern world, we aren't used to handling or dealing with, symbols. We're used to everything being very straightforward. So give yourself patience. Take time to look at it. Also, I pulled up the woman's name. Her name was Pamela Coleman Smith. And she was born in England in 1878 and worked with the Order of the Golden Dawn in 1903. Very powerful woman. And I think that's also is that even though there's a lot of male energy in these cards, like at the bottom, there's always that feminine divine.
Yeah. There is a lot of masculine energy throughout the cards, but then I feel like when you go to those feminine cards, like the High Priestess or the Empress, God, they're very feminine. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it is like, if you notice, you're so right with that. Like, even the characters in the minor arcana are mostly men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's just a matter of studying those symbols. It's also about like being, so what I'm looking for, consistent. This is something I always recommend. If you really are dedicated to tarot, study it every day. Pull a card every morning. Feel that card. Learn what it has to tell you. That's the only way you're truly going to connect with them, is by using them.
Yeah, absolutely. I still pull a tarot card a day.
Me too.
Yeah, and all you have to say, guys, is like, I always just say, okay, Spirit, show me the energy of the day. That's all you have to do. And you pull a card, and really you'll be amazed, because it also helps you, especially if you're going to be doing readings for people, you're going to understand what that card really means, because you're going to live through it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
and
you understand.
Really helped me.
Mm-hmm. You were so right about that, Erica. Like, once you like understand the energy of the card and you live through it, it stays in your mind, it stays in your unconscious, and you'll become more intuitively in tune with it.
Absolutely. So since we're talking about the symbolism of the cards, do you have any books or references as far as like learning about symbols? Because it's not just the tarot, guys, that symbolism is prominent. Really, in any sort of spirit, if you're really trying to learn about spirituality and all the symbols, because really there's a lot of symbols in the whole spiritual realm. Do you have any like good recommendations or books?
Oh, do I ever? So in Los Angeles, there's something called the University of Philosophical Research.
Ooh.
And it was created by a man named Manly P. Hall. And he was born in the early 20th century. And he wrote at the age of 27 the entire encyclopedia of occultism. It's called The Secret of All Ages.
What's it called?
The Secret Teachings of All Ages.
Oh my God, I need this book.
You can buy it at Barnes & Noble. You can go online to, you just look up the Philosophical Research Center or the Philosophical Research Society on Google. You will go, they have all of their collections online. You can order it. They will send it to you. The pamphlets are like $7 each. And I'll read you some of the ones that I have. I go there like,
oh my God.
It's the amount of stuff that you can just learn. This man, he honestly, like, I call him my grandpa because he did so much for me. So we have like a magical treatise on esoteric ethics, astrology and reincarnation, Atlantis and interpretation, Initiates of the Flame, an essay on fundamental principles of occultism, and the psychoanalysis of the 12 zodiac.
Oh my God. It's literally like the encyclopedia of everything that I love.
Exactly. And Manly P. Hawley, he's very easy to read. You can find his lectures online. Like, he was very, very open about occultism during his lifetime. And I think for anyone who really wants to get into the occult, they've got books on that. Manly does. Start there. He will really bring you in like a hand-holding way. He's not going to throw you into the deep end and say, good luck, bye.
Is he still alive?
Unfortunately, no. He died in 1990.
Okay. And was he part of the Golden Dawn?
I don't believe Manly actually was a part of anything. I have lots of stories about him, but he was a very adamant researcher, and his whole life was dedicated to the spread of knowledge and symbolism. And my favorite quote from him, which I have on a poster in my room, it says, "Symbolism is the language of mysteries."
Oh, and isn't that true?
Yep.
I love that. That is I'm so excited about that. Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So if there is someone listening who is interested in learning to read the tarot, what are 3 pieces of advice you would give them while starting off?
Okay, so the first one is the advice that I give to everybody, whoever reads tarot. Do not do it when you are highly emotional. It's okay to be emotionally heightened, but if you are crying and wailing, live through those emotions first. Let those emotions pass so you can be in a quiet and calm space to do your reading. Yes. My first.
And I'm just going to say it. I've been guilty of doing readings when I am not in a good emotional space. And you're right. You really need to live through those emotions, let them pass, and then do a reading.
Yeah, it's I'm guilty of it too. And I always find that my readings are never as clear or as good when I'm in that state.
Yeah, absolutely.
My second piece of advice would be for beginners. You don't need to start doing super complicated spreads. Like the Celtic Cross, overwhelmed me when I started. Start small. Do 3 card pulls. You can look, honestly, Pinterest is an amazing place to find spreads.
It is.
And yeah, you don't need to do 8, 11, 12 card spreads. Just do 3 or 4. Start small. Work. And then my last piece of advice would be, don't do the same readings over and over again for a couple of reasons.
I'm laughing because I'm like, guys, this is I'm guilty of all of this. It's not, you know what I mean? I think we can all say we're guilty of it and we've learned from it and we're just trying to give you the wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's a story. So I had this huge crush on this guy, and I was kept asking the cards. I'm like, does he like me? What does he think of me? And eventually, I did another reading on it, and my cards just went flying everywhere. And I just imagined my guides being like, girl, we have been through this. And
I think oh my God, a couple of months ago, I did a reading for myself on a full moon, and this was for 2020. I did a reading on New Year's Eve.
Ooh.
And I got it from Pinterest, whatever spread it was. And it was basically I felt victimized by it. They will these cards will bully you out of your negative tendencies, guys, for real. And they will still do it. I've been practicing tarot for years and they still will bully me and I'll walk out of the room feeling victimized.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm not really like that. You don't know me, cards.
Yeah. Seriously, but it really is such a experience that only you can have. You know what I mean? And I always tell my peers and my students who are really wanting to look into tarot to like, don't pick up a book. This is my word of advice for you. Before picking up any single book, first, obviously you want to cleanse the cards, put your energy into them. I want you to go through every single card. And when you look at that imagery, what do you feel?
Yes, it's about feeling.
Right. What do you feel? What's the story behind that card? Create a story, you know?
And honestly, they're very, very straightforward. I mean, one of the cards that I remember coming up for a client that I was doing reading for was the seven.
Oh no, you're breaking up. I think I heard 7 of Cups.
Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm going to say that the spirits don't want me to talk about this, so I'm not going to.
Probably, but yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I can only tell you how many times that like that happens when 2 spiritual people are on Zoom together. Like you should see it at my circle. It's insane how many like crazy things happen.
Yeah, that's something I'd like to talk briefly about. So I have been doing some research on my own about modern witches and using technology. I think that, yes, it's important that we stick to tradition, but I also think it's important that we acknowledge and move forward with the times. I've seen some really interesting, uses of technology in witchcraft, including like, I think that if you are careful and you smudge your phone frequently enough, sure, you can use some online apps like the Golden Tarot, but I think that we need to be careful because our words are spells. Everything we type is a spell, and it's so easy to get caught up in that need for instant gratification and act so quickly on our emotions. My advice to everyone is like, take a step back sometimes and realize what the energy that you're putting out there.
Very true. Very, very true. Nicely said. Ashley, thank you so much for coming on. You guys, please, if you have TikTok, if you have Instagram, go ahead and follow her. She's a wealth of knowledge. Thanks again, Ashley, for coming on the show and just all this. Oh my God, I can't wait to buy that book.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Erica. Yeah, you're going to love Manly. He's amazing.
I'm so excited. Thanks again.
You're welcome. I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too, babe. Thank you.